Good morning. Today I wanted to just do a quick reminder on how to set up a quiz on Google Forms. Um, you'll see a bunch of things that you probably have already seen if you've looked at my videos a few months ago, but I just want to make sure this one goes up in my classroom so you have quick access to it. And just as a reminder for those of you who might forget how to set up a quiz or create a quiz on a classroom. So there's two ways to do this. The first way could be in your classes. We're going to open up my test class here. In classwork, you can actually create a quiz assignment. Now, quiz assignment will automatically create a Google form for your students. It's creating the form right now. And it's already ready. It's already set up. There are some options that you're going to want to change, but it's here for you if this is an easier way for you to set up a quiz. The other way you can do it is you can go to your Google Apps icon here, and you can scroll down till you get to forms, or just go to forms.google.com. And you're going to need to know this website whether or not you go into, you develop your quiz through Classroom or through Google Forms itself, because you're going to need to find your form. Now, you can find your form in Drive or in Forms, but this is just one way to do it. Another way you can do it, and some people like to do it this way, if you go through Drive, you can actually create any kind of document you'd like. So a lot of people like to actually start in Drive and just create everything they want there. And that way they can, like if I wanted this in my lesson plan folder, I can open up my lesson plan folder. And then when I create a new document, sheet, slide, or forms or drawing, whatever, it automatically gets saved in this folder. So it just keeps it a little bit more organized. So if you want, you can go into Drive and create your form right through there as well. So we created it already here, but I'm going to show you how to create it here just so we can go from both aspects here. So I'm going to go in Drive. I'm creating my form. This is going to be in my lessons plan folder now. So my form is created. Now, when you create a form directly from Google Classroom, like I said, it already makes it a quiz. Calls it a blank quiz, everything there, it's already set up as a quiz. If you create it any other way, it's just going to be set up as a survey. Now, to turn this survey into a quiz, it's not that hard. All you have to do is click on this settings gear, and in quizzes, you click make this a quiz. Now, there's a locked mode here, which you probably won't want to use because a lot of your kids are probably going to be doing these quizzes on like a tablet or a phone. But if you're back at school, this will lock them onto their Chromebooks. Release grade immediately. So this is some of the options that you're probably going to want to look at, even if you create it through Google Classroom, because this is going to automatically make some of these things that you might not want to give them. So you might not want to release the grades immediately. If a student has a question wrong or an open-ended question, but you want to give them partial credit, or you want to, or maybe they just spelled something wrong and you want to give them full credit for that, they will show this as incorrect if you release it immediately. So usually I say, I always have mine in later after manual review. So that gives me the chance to actually release it back to the students to make sure that I agree with the score. Respondent can see missed questions. It just means questions that they've not done. Correct answers. If you don't want them to be able to share their answers with other people, then you want to uncheck this. Point values for each question. All those are there. In presentation here, you're not going to really need to worry about too many of these. Obviously, if you only want them to submit the quiz once, you don't need the show link to submit another response. You can give them a confirmation message saying thanks for taking the quiz or whatever you would like. Progress bar and shuffle question order isn't really necessary at this time. Shuffle question order is really only if you have two people taking the quiz right next to each other. In our general, now, you're going to want to make sure that you restrict users to this Tamaqua Area School District. That would mean that they're not going to accidentally take the quiz using their normal Gmail accounts or something like that. You're also going to want to collect email addresses probably. That way you know who's sending what. But it's not necessary if you put your very first question be what's your name. So that's I like to leave it on. It doesn't really hurt. And response receipts, that just if they just, it's just a way for them to show what answers they chose. You don't need this. This is just like an extra thing. If a respondent requests it, like at the end when they finish taking the quiz, they ask, would you like a receipt? But it's whether you want it or not, doesn't really matter. Limit one response. If you only want them to take this quiz once, then you click that. If you do not want them to edit after submission, then you leave that unchecked. And you pretty much never want them to see the summary charts because that shows what other students have done as well. So once we have all of our settings in, we click save, and we'll change our quiz to our form into a quiz. Again, if you've already done that, the only things you need to do is go through. You might want to collect email addresses, limit one response. These kind of things are the options that you're still going to need to go into even if you create the quiz through Classroom. So back to this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to title this demo quiz. I can give a description if I want. I'm going to click up here, and that will automatically change the name to demo quiz. Now I have my questions here. I'm going to say my first question might be, what is your name? Now, it automatically changed my answer to a short answer blank instead of having the multiple choice, because Google actually guesses at what you are looking for when they put your when you type a question in. So obviously, this isn't going to be an answerable question that has a point value to it. So I'm going to click on answer key. Now I set up my settings so it automatically puts every question at 1. All of your questions are going to default to 0. So you're going to, anything you want to make a point value, you're going to need to change that to 1. If you want to change your settings, you can go into preferences in this 3-dot menu. But that's something that you don't really need. If you have multiple questions that have multiple point values, then you don't need to change the default there. So we don't have a correct answer here. So I'm just going to make this 0 points. Mark all answers as incorrect. We don't have any correct answers, so I don't want to mark that at all. So now whatever they type in is going to be worth 0 points, and it's going to be considered correct. All right, so let's go to the next question. So we click our add question button. And I say, what is 2 plus 2? Now this is going to stay multiple choice because that's what it defaults to. So let's just say our responses could be 1. Oh, look, it gives suggestions of all of the other responses you might want. And I could say, well, I want 2, 3, and 4, or I want all of these, and I can just click add all. And now it has all of these responses. And I can even add an other button. And then they would have to type in what the answer is. Now, once I have this is my question, I can click answer key. And again, change the point value to whatever you need. And I pick what the answer is. So I have 2 plus 2. So obviously the answer is going to be 4. And there we go. Now, add answer feedback. This gives me the option to give feedback if the answer is correct or incorrect. And if the answer is incorrect, you may want to do something like add a YouTube video or a link to Khan Academy. So my YouTube video might be addition. Meet the math facts here. I can add that to my video here. So save. And now if they get the answer correct, they will be shown this video where they can learn about their addition facts. Now, obviously, you can do anything. It could be a science-related question or whatever. But this is answer feedback. So when I click done, and now I show that my answer is here. My answer key shows it's 1 point. That check mark shows what the correct answer is, so I can double check that. And now I have this. I can make this a required question. So I should have done this up here as well. If it's required, then they cannot submit this quiz until they at least have something in there. If they just skip it, it will not let them submit the quiz. So you might want to make all of the questions required. That way you can just be sure that they are getting everything they need. So we have a couple other options here. We have we can do a description. We can go to different sections. We can shuffle the option order. Again, none of this is really necessary for your quizzes right now. This is our duplicate button. So if you have something that's pretty similar, so if my next question is what is 1 plus 2, then I go into my answer key and I just have to change my answer to 3 and uncheck 4. So I can duplicate my questions to make them a little bit easier, and all of my settings stay the same. So my required is the same, my 1 point is the same. If I do a new question here, I can even add in pictures as my question. So maybe I want my let's do this one. So now my question might be, how many puppies in all? So now it changed to a short answer. I might want a short answer here, but I might want a multiple choice. So I'm going to go multiple choice. And I'm going to say, well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 puppies. So I'm going to do 1, and then let's add all of these, and then other again. And now our answer, in our answer key, let's go back here. It's not letting me put other as an option here. So let's go in here and let's just do 6, 7, and there we go. So it will show up as other to the students. So when they take this quiz, it will show other, but you can't actually choose that as an answer. So you would have to then in answer feedback, you'd have to give them their correct or incorrect answer. Not sure why it's doing that. It didn't used to do that, so that's probably something that they just need to work out. So lastly, I'm going to show you short answer questions. Now we have short answer and long answer questions. So we have a paragraph, which obviously they won't be able to grade for you. We also have a short answer, which they can grade for you. But the problem with short answer is, so maybe let's do name a four-sided shape. So now it's a short answer. I'm going to go in my answer key. I'm going to make this 2 points. And a correct answer could be a square, a rectangle, could be a rhombus or quadrilateral or a parallelogram. All those things would be there. But if I only put these, because these are the ones I'm expecting, and then somebody puts rhombus or parallelogram or trapezoid, then it'll be marked incorrect because these are the only answers that I say is correct. Also, if they tell me if they spell square with a capital S or leave out the E in rectangle, it will still be marked wrong. So this is where you have this mark all other answers incorrect box. If you check this, then everything's going to be marked incorrect if it's not these. So like for a spelling test, that may be good. But for these, you know that there's more than these answers. And maybe you've only taught square and rectangle, but there are a lot of other options there that maybe a student might know and you didn't realize. So if I leave this all other answers, mark all other answers incorrect box unchecked, that means that this will not be graded. So if they say square or rectangle with this spelling and this capitalization, then it will work fine. Everything will be perfect. It will give them the correct score. You do not need to grade that. But if they do something different or if they spell these differently, then it won't show that it's graded at all. And then when you go into your responses, you can see what the students have done, and you can see them. You can tell whether or not you want them to be given the 2 points or not. So I'm done here, and now it shows the correct answers. And again, you can still give them points even if they get these answers incorrect according to Google, but you can set it so it doesn't show the students that they got it incorrect. Now, if you do accidentally mark all others incorrect, that's okay because you can still go in and change that point value. So nothing's locked in. When you go into your responses tab, you can see what the students have done. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to go back to my classroom and I'm going to discard this draft here and I'm actually going to make a new assignment, not a quiz assignment because I've already created this form. And I'm going to say demo quiz. I'm going to add from Google Drive my demo quiz. Grade importing is on. That will just put all the grades in. Now I have 10 points here, but it's going to default to whatever the point value of my quiz is. So it might say 100 points here, but when I actually import the quiz, it will change that point value. I can say which students I want it for, which classes I want it for, due date, and put in a topic, whatever I need there. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this. So I opened up a new classroom that I'd already done some assessments in. So this is my middle school class that I did a few months ago for middle school teachers. In classwork, you'll see a demo quiz that I created. I can click on this directly and it will open up the quiz, but this is not opening up the quiz that it's not opening up your form. It's opening up a way for you to take the quiz, which I don't want to do. I don't want to take my own quiz here. I can view the assignment. And that will show me all of the people who've taken the quiz and submitted it. I can import the grades directly from my form. If I did not get to, if I didn't get to grade everything, then you might not want to import the grades right away, but you can do it after the fact. And from here, I can see all the students that I've turned in and I've graded and I've returned to them. So I can see the name of my quiz here. It's demo assessment. So I'm going to go into my Google Forms. I'm going to go into forms.google.com. I'm going to look for my demo assessment. So I can search for demo here. Let's see if I can find my demo assessment. Here we go, demo assessment. So I'm guessing it's this one. Let's give it a try. Here it is. Okay, so this is my demo assessment. Now notice that this is my creation view. So I can actually add questions and things like that if I wanted to, though all the students have already taken the quiz. So I don't want to do that right now. So let's go into responses. This is where you're going to be grading. So in responses, you can see a summary of all of the responses that your students have done. You can compare things. You can use analytics to see what's the hardest question, the easiest question. And you can go through question by question or individual by individual. So it lists by email address. So if you are not as familiar with your students' email addresses, that's when you might want your first question to be what their name is. So I can choose by email address here. Or what I like to do, I like to just grade question by question. So question 1, nothing here. It was worth 1 point. There's 31 ungraded responses. So let's view our options. So it's really just an option 1 here. So let's go to question 2. So this is where it's asking their name. Obviously, this is 0 points, so I can just skip this question. Question 3, email address. Again, 0 points. I'm skipping this question. So this question was, what was the farthest Aaron traveled for professional development approximately? So here is the correct response. None of the above was correct. Some people did greater than 1,042 miles. And this was my response to them. So some people had the incorrect answers. Some people had the correct answers. Now, I might say, well, you know what? Like, I did go to the furthest away from here that I went was South Korea. I did some in service in South Korea, but I was living in Japan at the time, so it wasn't very far away. But I might say, you know what? I'm going to give them that answer. I'm going to make that answer correct because they had the right idea. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I can go through and do all the questions like that. How did Alexander Hamilton die? Sports activities I was involved in. All these things I can go through, and I can go through and double check their answers, make sure that they're getting the answers that they want. Once I finish going through all of my grading, then I can go back to my classroom and I can import my grades. Once I import all my grades, it will do all of the changes and it will automatically change the value to what I have. So now there's a few that I changed here. That's why it says draft. So they're not able to see their score anymore. So I can click on all of these that, actually I can click on all of them if I wanted to, but I can click on all the ones that are drafts and I can return those to those teachers. I don't want to because then they're going to get emails saying that I graded their quizzes, which isn't necessary. But once I do that, then they will see their grades. Then I will release the grades to them, and that's all you have to do. That is how you can use Google Forms to make quizzes. I know there's a lot of information there, and I know a lot of it was pretty fast, but it is a pretty simple tool that I could easily walk you through and help you through at any time. So please feel free to sign up for one of my Google Meet sessions, or send me an email, and I can work out a time to help you figure out Google Forms. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you later.